Good morning, everyone. I'm Brian Fisher, the manager of the Media Relations Division for the Prince George's County Police Department. For close to 3 decades, the Prince George's County Police Department's cold case homicide squad has been working diligently investigating unresolved homicides with determination to bring answers and comfort to families who have lost loved ones to violent crimes. Today, we stand with the Crandell family to deliver long-awaited answers. Speaking with you this morning will be George Nader, Prince George's County Police Chief, Aisha Braveboy, Prince George's County Executive, retired Homicide Unit Detective who worked this case, Bernard Nelson, FBI Baltimore Special Agent in Charge, Jimmy Paul, and Prince George's County State's Attorney, Tara Jackson. At the conclusion, you'll hear from the Crandell family. Right now, I'd like to introduce Chief of Police, George Nader.
Good morning. We're here to share important developments in a case that has weighed on our community since January 13th, 1998. Miss Sherry Crandell became a victim of a homicide while working at Prince George's Hospital Center. First and foremost, to the Crandell family, please accept our deepest condolences. There's nothing that we can say that can take away the pain of the loss of your mother or your sister, but please know that you've always been in our thoughts, and we've worked this case diligently for the past 27 years, and now we have a little bit of closure to bring with identifying the person responsible for it. We know that we can't erase the pain. The Prince George's County Police Department has worked with new investigative techniques with genealogy to identify the suspect who committed this crime 27 years ago. The diligent work of our detective unit of unresolved cases, the cold case, but we never call a case cold, is unresolved because we work relentlessly to bring justice to families and identify people who are responsible for committing crimes in our communities. And that's just what happened here. With the assistance of the FBI and expert genealogists, we were able to identify the person responsible for this case. It highlights how far investigations have advanced since that time. The use within the legal requirements, investigative genealogy is a powerful tool that's delivered closure in many cases. This outcome should stand as a reminder that the Prince George's County Police Department's commitment to victims and their families is unwavering. We don't stop working case. We continue to work it until we bring closure, and we'll always continue to do that. For victims that have experienced cases like this, let this case stand as an example that we don't forget and we don't stop. When people don't think that we're looking, we're looking. When people don't think that we're working. So it's the dedicated use of Prince George's County CID Homicide Unit, the Cold Case Squad, who works these unresolved cases that we're able to bring this case to a closure. And for that, I say thank you for the work over the past 27 years. In particular, Detective Nelson, thank you for sticking with this case. The work that you did and the dedication that you have to our community and this family in particular is amazing. So with that, I say thank you. I think some of the things that we have to keep in mind is this: every case is a person and a family, and what they experience, no one should have to experience. So for that, our deepest condolences to you and admiration for the strength that you've shown over the past 27 years. And thank you for sticking with us to bring closure to this case. With that, I would like to introduce the County Executive, Ms. Aisha Braveboy.
Thank you so much, Chief, and thank you all for being here today, but especially the family of Sherry Crandell. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for letting us know a little bit more about your mother, your sister, and your friend. You know, it is tough to lose anyone, but to lose someone who was a caregiver in the place that she gave care is particularly tragic. And that's why I think that this case really stood out. And when I was state's attorney, we worked with our police department to apply for a grant with the Department of Justice to conduct forensic and investigative genealogy testing so that we can close cases like this. And I'm proud to say that this was the first case that was submitted for testing, and it's an honor to stand before you today, at least not with complete closure, but at least with an answer. And I think that's important. Because Sherry was not just a name on a file. She was a vibrant woman who had purpose. She had dreams, dreams for her children, dreams for her family. And she was a sister, and that strikes me because I have a sister, and so I know that I would want justice for my sister if anything happened to her. So I am grateful that her sisters are here to represent her along with her children. For them, this has been a heart-wrenching journey of uncertainty and agony. For 27 long years, they have lived with the pain of loss and the anguish of unanswered questions. And I hope that, and the hope that one day justice would prevail. Today, I stand here to share important developments in this case. After years of tireless work by the Cold Case Division of the Prince George's County Police Department and the State's Attorney's Office, using investigative genetic genealogy, we have uncovered the identity of her killer. And I'll allow law enforcement to talk to you a little bit about how that was conducted and who the killer was. However, I must also share the bittersweet news that her murderer is no longer alive. As a result, there will be no formal charges or a trial. While this news may not bring the justice that Sherry's family so rightly deserves, we hope that it provides some sense of closure. Closure is a word we often use without understanding its weight. But for Sherry's family, after so many years of searching for answers, closure at last means the end of not knowing. It is essential to know that Sherry's story is not just about loss. It is a reminder of the strength of love and the resilience of a family that has held on to hope in even the darkest times. To her children and her sisters, we want you to know that your mother and your sister was never forgotten. Law enforcement worked diligently to ensure that her memory lived on and that her story was told. Every case of this nature deserves attention and closure, and we are committed to ensuring that no victim is left behind and not remembered. We owe that to Sherry. We owe that to her family, and we owe that to our community. The commitment of our law enforcement agencies, the Cold Case Division, and the Office of the State's Attorney has been unwavering. I want to thank all of you. Your dedication has been crucial to bringing this chapter to a close. As we reflect on this case, let us remind ourselves of the importance of community. Let us stand together to support one another, to uplift those who have suffered loss, and to advocate for justice in every corner of our society. In closing, to the family, please know that you're not alone. You're now a part of our family too. We love you. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce retired homicide detective Bernard Nelson.
Good morning. I'm Bernard Nelson, retired, as he said, from the Prince George's County Police Department's Homicide Unit. I really wasn't expected to speak today, but Just wanted to let you all know that I was a homicide detective for 31 years, and I worked on hundreds of homicide cases. I want to close all of them, wanted to close all of them. Unfortunately, some may not. However, Sherry Crandell's homicide was always at the top of my list, and I've always said that this is one case that I want to close before I retire. I missed by about 7 months, but it's now closed. We still have a lot of T's to cross and I's to dot to get some answers as to why certain things happen, which I'm going to do my best to do for you, the Crandell family. But we now know the who, which was the most important part. Her reward poster always stayed at my desk. It was always posted at my desk during the entire time, ever since 1998. So it was always on my mind. And the reason is because it was such a shock to the community at that time. Sherry was working in a place where you're supposed to be safe, in a hospital where people go to, where they preserve lives, where they save lives, not where you go to work and end up brutally murdered. So I had a lot of people worried. People who worked in the hospital were afraid that they won't make it home alive, and rightfully so. The community was shocked. They didn't feel safe. So this case stayed at the top of my list because it was mine from the beginning, from day one. And as it turns out, it ends up being someone who fits into our theory when we first started, that this was someone who came off of the streets to possibly steal out of the hospital, which they had a history of at that time, and who was an opportunist who took advantage of the situation when he came across Sherry Crandell. So it was no surprise that he filled that realm. This is a bittersweet moment for me. I'm extremely happy that I was able to find answers, or we as a team, and just to make this clear, it wasn't just me. It was a ton of people who worked on this case as a team. But as far as the bittersweet emotions that I'm going through, I'm very happy that we have closure. I'm just upset that it took so long. 27, almost 28 years that it took to close this. I'm upset that he's deceased because I wanted to try to get more answers through interviewing him. But also upset that he's not going to be punished for what he did and not be brought to justice for what he did to your mother and your sister. That's what I would like to have seen. But I would take what we have. I have no choice. So I just wanted to end by thanking everyone who worked on this case from day one, but in particular, the genealogists. Those are my heroes in this. I would be forever grateful to them. We had one who worked with the county homicide unit, who started this from the beginning when we were initially told that it's not worth running with because the comparisons when it was put through the databases came so far off the charts that they said it wasn't worth pursuing until they can get closer to any relatives. Well, they got closer. And then the FBI's genetic genealogy team picked up on it, and they ran with it. And I'm so grateful that they stuck to it with the other genealogists and came up with these answers. They will give us direction on where to go and who to get reference samples, DNA samples from. But they built that tree, and they stuck with it. And I'm so grateful that they did, because now they were able to finally identify the person responsible. So I just want to make sure that they know that I will forever be grateful to them. Darren, Tiffany, Luke, you were always on my mind. Darren always kept the fire under me to stay on this case. but I appreciate you all, appreciate your patience, because this definitely needed some patience. So I'm glad that we were able to provide answers for you. Thank you.
Thank you for the work that you did, Detective Nelson, and for all the people that you mentioned. Based on DNA recovered at the scene and genealogy, we're unequivocally able to say that the person that's responsible for this crime, Bari Abdul Akbar Shabazz, the original name that he had at birth was Edward Barry Watts. As the county executive said, he died in 2019 of natural causes. And as Detective Nelson said, he was no stranger to law enforcement. Had a violent criminal history back then, dating back to the 60s, the late 60s. So with that, if I could turn it over to the next speaker, Special Agent in charge of the FBI Baltimore Washington Field Office, Jimmy Paul.
Thank you, Chief Nader. Good morning. My name is Jimmy Paul. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the FBI's Baltimore Field Office. This is the second time this year FBI Baltimore has been privileged to join our partners at the Prince George's County Police Department to announce we have jointly solved a murder using investigative genetic genealogy. We can finally provide answers to Sherry Crandell's loved ones and children who have joined us today. Our investigative genetic genealogy team started working Sherry's case 4 years ago. They kept at it, following lead after lead, a thorough, detailed, and time-consuming process which finally paid off this year. The suspect is deceased. While he will never pay for the vicious and brutal murder he committed, that does not diminish our responsibility to Sherry. The FBI is committed to bringing offenders to justice, and we are equally committed to providing answers for victims and their families, answers Sherry's family longed for over the last 28 years. They never gave up, and neither did law enforcement. Sherry was caring, kind, and thoughtful. Her death left a hole in her family. Her 3 children grew up without a mother. Her hospital coworkers grieved a friend and valuable colleague. The entire community was shocked by Sherry's murder in what should have been a place of healing, not horror. The investigators worked all angles of this case. They issued rewards, tracked down every lead, but none led to answers. All the while, her killer kept going on with his life right here in Maryland until he died in 2019. That's frustrating for everyone, including law enforcement. We are naming him now and publicly identifying his horrific crimes. Through investigative genetic genealogy, investigators are able to solve the worst of the worst crimes and identify the worst of the worst criminals, even when decades have passed since the crimes took place. The FBI's collaboration with Prince George's County Police Department and advancement in technology made this identification possible. Investigative genetic genealogy combines unknown crime scene DNA and genealogy research and historical records to generate a lead to the identity of the suspect. Investigators use publicly accessible databases and information to narrow down people who could potentially be the suspect based on their genetic relationship. All that, combined with old-fashioned police work, led us to this suspect. The FBI will continue to use every tool available to seek justice for victims and their families. But we do not do that alone. Our partners are key to all that we do, which is why I'm so grateful for the strong partnership we have with the Prince George's County Police Department as we work together to keep our community safe. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce the State's Attorney for Prince George's County, Tara Jackson.
Good morning. I just want to say that this is why we do what we do. To be able to bring closure to families like Sherry Crandell's family and families like that all across Prince George's County. It is especially gratifying today to stand here with law enforcement, with the Prince George's County Police Department, with the FBI, and with the prosecutor, Bob Dean, who worked tirelessly on this case along with our partners. It is technology for sure that has gotten us to this point, But I want to say, too, it is good old-fashioned police work, passion, hard work that these men and women of law enforcement do every day to try and bring justice to families in our community. And I'm thankful for that. You are in our prayers continually. I know you continue to heal even after 25 years. Your family continues to heal. But I am so thankful that we have a partnership together in law enforcement and that we can continue to do good for our community. Thank you.
And now, today, we're joined by the Crandell family. I'd like to bring up Sherry's children, Darren, Luke, and Tiffany.
Good morning. My name is Darren Crandell. This is my sister Tiffany and my brother Luke. We are Sherry's children. Today offers some closure for our family, friends, and most importantly, our mother. Numerous detectives and specialists have worked on this investigation since it began over 27 years ago. We want to thank the Prince George's County Police Department, the FBI Investigative Genealogy Team for their dedication to moving this case forward. We especially acknowledge the committed detectives from the Cold Case Unit and their skilled civilian genealogist investigator at the Prince George's County Police. Thoughts and prayers didn't close this case. We must also recognize Detective Bernie Nelson, who has led this case since 1998 and continues to work on it to this day. Our family knows Bernie never gave up on solving this case or forgot about our mother during these 27 years. To Bernie and everyone involved in this investigation, thank you. Our family is forever grateful.
We are now going to take some questions, and we have Officer Shepard with a hand mic, so please wait for the mic to come so that we have so many people that have contacted us that are live streaming this that they want to hear the questions as well. So with that, I turn it over to you all for questions. Paul Wagner.
For Detective Nelson, you had a witness in this case, Edna Brown. Yes. Based on the interview you did with Edna Brown and what you now know about Mr. Shabazz, are you convinced that Edna did see him that night? And I have a follow-up.
Yes, I've always been convinced that Ms. Brown saw something taking place, even though she didn't think it was a homicide in progress at the time. But I do believe from the way that she described the scene and actually some of the descriptions that she provided of the individual in the office with Ms. Crandell, I now know for sure that she actually did see something.
And from what you know about his background, I understand he may have lived near the hospital. Have you been able to make any connection whatsoever as to why he may have been in the hospital that day and whether he had any contact prior with Ms. Crandell?
Well, those are some of the T's that we need to cross and I's that we need to dot. We still have answers that we want to get to ascertain as to why he may have been in that hospital. We've already gone over the list of inpatients and outpatients to see if there was any relationship that he may have had with one of them that may have brought him there. But as I said before, he is the type of person, based on his background, that would have just gone over to the hospital to steal. That was the way he operated. So that was one of our theories. Our main theory at the beginning is that it was someone committing a theft and who came across her and ended up committing a rape and homicide. As you may find out, he does have a prior for attempt rape. He has a prior for other violent assaults that he was involved in, and a lot of thefts that he was involved in. One of the addresses he used back then was in the neighborhood that borders Prince George's Hospital Center in Cheverly. It was a 5-minute drive from the house or a 37-minute walk from the house. And we know that thefts were taking place in the hospital. Sherry Crandell would even complain to security about the thefts that were taking place, even from her own office. And she even said in one of her last emails that eventually someone's going to end up getting hurt. And unfortunately, it was her. So he fits right in with what took place. Yes.
Your feelings, your emotions when you realized you finally got the guy, that you were able to make a genetic link to him?
Well, before the positive ID was made, this guy was on the radar. According to our FBI genetic genealogy team, this was the guy that they were concentrating on, that we had to obtain reference samples, DNA samples from other family members to either rule him out or nail him as far as being responsible. Through their hard work, they were able to obtain a DNA sample to confirm that it was him who was responsible for this. And if it weren't for them, we wouldn't be here today. As far as my emotions go, when I got the news, now this guy, and I have to tell you, is that I had a photograph of him with me at all times in my car, on the passenger seat, on my desk, before I retired, because I had a feeling that it was going to end up being him, just based on the information that the genealogy team was coming up with. So when I finally got the news, it was kind of an empty feeling because of all the work that went into this, and to find out it's someone who died before we even started the genealogy research, and someone who I knew I couldn't confront, and someone who couldn't be brought to justice and be punished. So I had mixed emotions, but I was also extremely happy that it did finally come to a closure, and I can let the family know to continue their healing process.
Thank you. Yes, just had a question. Any additional information on the genetic genealogy? I know it was mentioned that this started about 4 years ago in terms of that process, but was there initial DNA at the scene? How was it narrowed down to him, if possible?
Well, she was sexually assaulted before she was murdered. So we had DNA from semen that was left on the scene. So we always had this guy's DNA. We just couldn't narrow it down to him until recently. I forgot the first part of your question. Well, initially when we put that DNA through one of the DNA labs that we started off with, they put it through family tree DNA, JetMatch, the DNA family databases that they can have access to. And we were told that it was fourth cousins away, that it's not worth pursuing it because there's no way you can make any progress on this. and that they would continue to put it through based on more samples coming into the database. However, our civilian genealogist who was working with the homicide unit ran with it, came up with some paths for us to run down, and then the FBI genealogy team took over and ran with it, and they were able to narrow it down much further until they got to this point.
Detective Nelson, was this man's DNA never in the system? And how did you come to have his photo and think it was him for so long?
Well, his DNA was not in the system where they could make a direct DNA hit off of. As far as the photograph goes, when the genetic genealogy team from the FBI narrowed it down to him, they gave us people to approach in the family to obtain reference DNA samples from, to just verify what they were looking at or to rule them out. It took a while in order to do that, and they were able to finally get a DNA sample to put into the system as a reference sample and confirmed that it was him. But once I had that name, I produced this photograph and kept that with me.
It was the DNA, not some other kind of
No.
investigative.
No, it was the DNA that got us to that point.
John Doman.
What was the, I guess, DNA match that sort of confirmed everything for you guys that, you know, knew that that was him, besides the genealogy from the initial hit there?
I don't think that I can actually get into who the DNA came from. So I would just leave it as a relative, a nephew to the suspect, but I can't say who it was and how they were able to get that sample. So.
Take a couple more questions. Anybody? Thank you all for being here today.
One, two, three. Special Investigations Division as part of an undercover unit.
Oh, very cool. Good, good. And he's a sergeant? Is that right?
Yes.
Sergeant?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm curious, like, did he, and Eric wasn't 100% sure, did he join the force partly because of this particular case and it lit something inside of him?
Yeah, I quite frankly, I don't know Darren at that personal level. Well, he would have shared that with me. I can assume that that was one of the reasons, but I've never asked Darren that specifically. In fact, I didn't really realize that his mother had been a victim of this crime until the last couple of years when I was an assistant chief. He's been very private about it. He did not reach out to me or the department directly. It was only through Chief Nader reaching out that I knew that the press conference was being held today.
But like in law enforcement, when there's something like that, that wouldn't surprise you, right? That like when a crime touches you and then you see the reaction of his.
No, absolutely. Like I say, I got to believe that was a reason, or at least in part, of why he pursued a career in law enforcement, to sort of maybe in his own mind say, I'm going to try to do whatever I can to bring myself and my family closure on this.
And why did you and his fellow SWAT team members want to be here today?
You know, usually I'm on the side of the fence where Chief Nader stood today. Today I can say I was here as a friend and a colleague of Darren's. And really it's just that law enforcement family approach. We support each other through thick and thin, and this is certainly something where I was happy to be here with him and let his friends on the department know so that they can be here as well.
Thank you so much.
I wish I knew who that.
And I checked. And I'll check the